He lives because of us, and now he is ours," said the three Apache women about the widower. The people were mostly Apache and they lived close to nature. They hunted, gathered, and cared for each other. The village was peaceful, but Ethan was not. He was a widower. His wife, Sarah, had died many years ago. She was the light of his life, and after she passed away, his world became dark. Ethan had tried to move on, but he never truly recovered. Every day felt empty and every night felt long. Ethan did not talk much. He walked slowly and kept to himself. He did not join the village gatherings or celebrations. When people spoke to him, he smiled politely, but he did not stay long. Some people thought he was proud or strange. Others believed he wanted to be alone. So the village respected his privacy and left him alone. The truth was different. Ethan did not choose loneliness. It chose him. He had lost his happiness and he did not know how to get it back. He did not want to be a burden to others. He felt that his sadness was his own and he believed he should carry it alone. The village had a small river nearby. The river was not big, but it was important. It gave water to the plants, animals, and people. Ethan's home was close to the river. Every morning he would wake up early and walk to the river. He would sit there for a while, watching the water flow. The river was calm and quiet. Ethan liked the silence. He liked how the water kept moving, even when the world seemed still. He believed that if the river could keep going, maybe he could too. But inside, his heart felt heavy, like a stone tied to his chest. One winter, the weather became very harsh. The sky turned gray and the wind became cold and strong. Snow fell lightly at first, but soon it covered the ground. The village was prepared. They had stored food, firewood, and warm blankets. The people worked together, helping each other stay safe. But Ethan was not as lucky. He had not prepared for the winter. He had stored only a little food and a small amount of firewood. His home was not warm enough. He tried to save money and food, but he did not know how long the winter would last. One night the wind blew harder than ever. The snow fell in thick sheets. The village was quiet. People stayed inside their homes, sitting close to their fires. The temperature dropped and the air became sharp and cold. Ethan sat by his small fire. The fire was weak, but he tried to keep it alive. He wrapped himself in a blanket and stared at the flames. His thoughts were heavy. He thought about Sarah and how she used to sit beside him, smiling, singing softly, and telling stories. He missed her so much that it hurt. The cold grew stronger. Ethan began to shiver. He felt a strange pain in his chest. He tried to stand up, but his legs felt weak. He felt dizzy and the room spun around him. He fell to the floor and tried to breathe. His breathing became slow and painful. His heart felt like it was being squeezed. He tried to call for help, but his voice was weak. He whispered, but the words were swallowed by the wind outside. For a moment, Ethan thought he would die. He thought about his life and felt regret. He wished he had asked for help. He wished he had not been so lonely. He wished he had shared his pain with someone. But he could not move. His body felt heavy. The fire was dying. The room became cold and dark. Ethan closed his eyes and waited. In the village, 3 women were sitting together in a small home. Their names were Maya, Layla, and Sienna. They were friends and they shared everything. They laughed together, worked together, and supported each other in difficult times. Maya was the oldest. She was strong and wise. She knew the old healing methods and the stories of their people. She had a calm voice that could comfort anyone. Leela was kind and gentle. She always helped others without asking for anything in return. She had a warm smile that made people feel safe. Sienna was brave and smart. She was not afraid to speak her mind. She loved to learn new things and help people solve problems. That night, as the wind blew and the snow fell, the women were talking about the winter. They were worried about the people in the village. They had heard that the winter was harsher than usual. They had shared food and firewood with those who needed it, but they also remembered Ethan. They had seen him walking alone in the cold, carrying wood on his back. They had seen him sit by the river, looking sad. They had seen him avoid the village gatherings. They had always wondered why he stayed alone. Maya looked at the other women and said, "I think Ethan is not well. He looks weak. He has been alone for too long." Leela nodded. "Yes, he seems tired. Maybe he is sick. We should help him." Sienna agreed. "We cannot just ignore him. He is part of our village. We should do something." The women knew that helping Ethan would be difficult. He was a quiet man, and he had never asked for help. Some people in the village believed he wanted to be alone. Some people even said he was strange. But the women did not care about the rumors. They only cared about his life. Maya said, "We cannot wait. If he is sick, he may not survive. We must go to his home and see." Leela looked worried, "But the weather is terrible. It is dangerous outside." Sienna nodded. "I know. But we are strong. We can do this. We must do this." The women prepared warm clothes, food, and healing herbs. They filled a small basket with supplies and wrapped it in cloth. They also took a small blanket just in case. They stepped outside into the cold night. The wind hit their faces. Snow covered their hair and clothes. Their feet sank into the snow as they walked. The path to Ethan's home was difficult. The snow was deep and the wind was strong. But the women kept going. They walked slowly but steadily. They knew that if they stopped, they might never reach him. After a long walk, they finally reached Ethan's home. The door was closed. The house looked quiet and empty. The women knocked on the door. There was no answer. Maya knocked again, louder this time. Still no answer. Leela felt worried. "Maybe he is asleep," Sienna said. "Maybe he is not home." But Maya did not believe it. She felt a strange feeling in her heart. She felt that something was wrong. She pushed the door open slowly. The room was cold. The fire was almost gone. The air smelled like cold wood and dust. The women stepped inside carefully. Then they saw him. Ethan was lying on the floor. His body was weak. His face was pale. He looked like he was sleeping, but his breathing was slow and shallow. His eyes were half closed. He looked like a man who had given up. Maya rushed to him. She checked his pulse. It was weak. She touched his forehead. It was cold. Leela cried softly, "Oh no, he is very sick." Sienna quickly wrapped the blanket around him. She took the food basket and placed it near him. She whispered, "We are here, Ethan. We are not leaving you." The women knew they had to act fast. They brought firewood and started a small fire. Maya began preparing healing herbs. Leela warmed water. Sienna stayed by Ethan's side, holding his hand. The women worked quietly and carefully. They did not rush, but they did not waste time. They knew that every moment mattered. Ethan's eyes opened slightly. He looked at them with confusion. He tried to speak, but his voice was weak. "Who are you?" he whispered. Maya smiled gently. "We are your neighbors. We are here to help you." Ethan tried to sit up, but he could not. His body was too weak. He looked at the women with a sad expression. "I don't want to be a burden," he said softly. Leela shook her head. "You are not a burden. You are our friend. We care about you," Sienna added. "We will not leave you alone. We will stay with you." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He had never felt this kind of care before. He had never felt like someone truly cared for him. The women stayed by his side all night. They fed him warm soup. They wrapped him in blankets. They kept the fire alive. They talked softly, telling him stories and calming his fears. Ethan listened quietly. He did not speak much, but he felt something changing inside him. He felt warmth that he had not felt for a long time. For the first time in years, Ethan felt hope. The morning after the storm was quiet. The snow had covered everything in a soft white blanket. The village looked peaceful, but inside Ethan's home, the air was still heavy. Ethan was awake, but he looked weak. He had slept for a long time and his body was still tired. The three women, Maya, Leela, and Sienna, sat beside him, watching him closely. They were worried, but they stayed calm. They had learned from their elders that panic only made things worse, so they spoke softly and gently, making sure Ethan felt safe. Maya leaned forward and asked, "How do you feel now?" Ethan tried to speak, but his voice was still weak. "I feel cold," he said. and tired. Leela smiled kindly. "We will warm you up, we will keep you safe," Sienna added. "You are not alone anymore. We are here." Ethan looked at them, surprised. He had never been treated like this before. He had always been alone, even when he was surrounded by people. He had always felt like he did not belong. But these women were different. They did not look at him like a stranger. They looked at him like someone who mattered. Maya stood up and began to prepare a warm drink. She boiled water and added herbs that were known for healing. The smell of the herbs filled the room. It was a comforting smell, like the feeling of being wrapped in a warm blanket. Leela brought out a small bowl of food. It was simple, but it was made with care. There were vegetables, bread, and a small piece of fish. Ethan had not eaten in days, and his body needed food. Sienna sat close to him and held his hand. She spoke softly, telling him stories about the village. She talked about the river, the animals, and the traditions of their people. She spoke in a gentle voice as if she was singing. Ethan listened. He did not speak much, but he felt a sense of peace. He felt that his heart was slowly healing. The women stayed with him all day. They helped him wash and change his clothes. They made sure he was comfortable. They did not leave him alone for a single moment. At first, Ethan felt embarrassed. He had never needed help before. He had always been independent. He had always believed that asking for help was a sign of weakness. But the women did not treat him like he was weak. They treated him like he was human. They treated him like someone who deserved love. As the day went on, Ethan began to talk more. He told them small things about his life. He told them about his wife, Sarah, and how much he missed her. His voice became shaky and his eyes filled with tears. Maya listened quietly. She did not interrupt. She let him speak. She knew that sometimes people needed to speak their pain out loud to begin healing. Leela gently said, "It is okay to feel sad. You loved her." "That is a beautiful thing," Sienna added. "We are here for you. You do not have to carry your pain alone." Ethan looked at them, surprised. He did not know what to say. He felt a mixture of gratitude and shame. He felt guilty for feeling happy again. But the women did not judge him. They did not make him feel bad. They simply showed him kindness. That evening, the village elders gathered together. They had heard that the three women had gone to Ethan's home during the storm. Some of the elders were worried. They believed that Ethan wanted to be alone. They believed that the women were making a mistake. One elder named Kiona said, "Ethan has always been quiet. He has always kept to himself. He does not want help." Another elder, Terk, replied, "Maybe he does not want help, but he needs it. He is sick. We cannot ignore him." The elders argued quietly. They did not want to offend the women, but they also did not want to break tradition. In their culture, people respected each other's space. They believed that if someone wanted to be alone, it was their choice. But the women believed differently. They believed that helping someone in need was more important than tradition. Maya stood up and said, "Ethan is part of our village. He is one of us. He may be quiet, but he is not weak. He is a good person. We cannot leave him alone to suffer." Leela added, "We are not asking for permission. We are doing what is right." Sienna spoke clearly. "If we do not help him now, he may not survive. We cannot let that happen." The elders listened quietly. They were surprised by the women's courage. They had never seen women speak so strongly before. They respected their honesty, but they were still unsure. The next day, the women continued to care for Ethan. They cleaned his home, repaired his roof, and brought more firewood. They made sure his home was warm and safe. Ethan watched them. He felt ashamed that they were doing so much for him. He wanted to say thank you, but the words did not come easily. One afternoon, Ethan finally spoke. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "I don't even know you." Maya looked at him with a kind smile. "We know you," she said. "We know your heart. We know you are a good person. We have seen you helping others before." Leela added, "You have always been kind. You just never asked for help." Sienna said, "We do not need to know you to help you. We only need to know that you are human." Ethan felt a warm feeling in his chest. He had never been spoken to like that. He had never been treated with such respect. He wanted to cry, but he held back. He did not want to show weakness. He wanted to be strong, but the women did not care about his pride. They cared about his life. Days passed, and Ethan slowly became stronger. He began to walk again. He began to smile again. He began to talk more. He began to join the women in small tasks around the home. The women taught him how to cook simple meals. They taught him how to make tea with herbs. They taught him how to keep his home warm. They even taught him how to sew and mend his clothes. Ethan was surprised by how much he enjoyed their company. He had not realized how lonely he had been. He had not realized how much he had missed having people around him. One day, Ethan asked the women, "Do you ever feel lonely?" Maya replied, "Yes, sometimes, but we have each other. We support each other." Leela said, "Loneliness is a part of life, but we can choose to not let it control us." Sienna added, "We can choose to be brave and reach out." Ethan listened carefully. He thought about his life. He thought about how he had always kept his pain inside. He thought about how he had never asked for help. He realized that he had been afraid. He had been afraid of being judged. He had been afraid of being seen as weak. He had been afraid of being rejected. But the women had not rejected him. They had welcomed him. That night, Ethan sat by the fire with the women. He looked at them and said, "I don't know how to thank you." Maya smiled softly. "You do not need to thank us, just live, that is enough." Leela added, "We are happy to help." Sienna said, "You are part of our family now." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He felt something he had not felt in years, hope. He felt that maybe, just maybe, he could live again. The women smiled and the fire crackled softly. Outside, the snow continued to fall, but inside there was warmth. Inside there was love. Ethan looked at the women and felt a deep sense of gratitude. He knew that his life had changed. He knew that he was no longer alone. But he also knew that his past was still a part of him. He knew that he still carried pain in his heart. He was not fully healed yet. But for the first time, he believed that he could heal. Ethan's days slowly became brighter. The winter storm still raged outside, but inside his home there was warmth and comfort. The three women, Maya, Leela, and Sienna, had stayed with him without leaving. They made sure he ate, slept, and rested properly. They cared for him like he was their own family. As Ethan's body became stronger, his mind also began to change. He started to remember things he had not thought about in years. He remembered the laughter of his wife, Sarah, and the way she used to dance lightly around their home. He remembered the sound of her voice when she sang songs from their childhood. He remembered how she used to sit beside him and listen to him talk about small things. These memories made Ethan feel both happy and sad. He missed Sarah deeply, but he also felt grateful that he had once been loved so much. The pain was still there, but the love had not disappeared. It was like a small light inside his heart. One afternoon, the women decided to take Ethan outside for a short walk. They wanted him to feel the fresh air and the sun, even if it was cold. They wrapped him in warm clothes and helped him step outside. The village was covered in snow and everything looked like a white painting. The trees were heavy with snow and the river was frozen. The air was crisp and the sky was clear. The cold air made Ethan feel alive again. As they walked, the women talked about the traditions of their people. They told Ethan about the stories of bravery and love that had been passed down for generations. They spoke about how the Apache people believed in the strength of the heart, and how they believed that love could heal even the deepest pain. Ethan listened carefully. He felt a strange feeling inside him. He felt that he was slowly becoming a part of their world. They walked to a small hill near the village. From there, Ethan could see the entire settlement. He saw the homes, the river, and the people moving around. He saw children playing in the snow. He saw people carrying firewood and talking to each other. For the first time in years, Ethan felt like he belonged to something. He felt like he was part of a community. He felt that he was not just a lonely man living in a small house. Maya sat beside him and said, "You see, Ethan, you are not alone. We are all connected." Leela smiled and added, "We take care of each other. That is how we survive." Sienna said, "You are a part of this village now." Ethan nodded slowly. He looked at the women and felt a deep sense of gratitude. He wanted to say something, but he was not sure how to express his feelings. As they walked back to the house, Ethan noticed something. The people in the village were watching them. Some of them looked surprised. Others looked curious. Some looked skeptical. Ethan felt embarrassed. He had always avoided attention. He did not like being the center of attention. He felt that the village was watching him because he was different. But the women did not care. They continued to walk with him proudly. They held his arms gently and supported him. They were not afraid of what others thought. That night, Ethan sat by the fire and thought about what he had seen. He thought about the way the village looked at him. He thought about the way the women had supported him. He realized that he had never felt so safe before. He realized that he had never felt so cared for. He realized that he had never felt so alive. The next day, Ethan began to help the women with small tasks around the home. He helped them prepare food. He helped them gather firewood. He helped them clean the house. The women were happy to see him being active again. They smiled at each other, knowing that he was healing. But the healing was not only physical, it was also emotional. One evening, Maya asked Ethan, "Would you like to talk about Sarah?" Ethan looked down. His eyes filled with tears. He hesitated for a moment, then he nodded. He began to speak slowly. He told them about the day Sarah died. He told them about the accident that took her away. He told them about how he felt when he lost her. He told them about how he had tried to stay strong, but he could not. The women listened carefully. They did not interrupt. They did not judge. They simply listened. When Ethan finished, Leela spoke softly. "You loved her very much," Sienna added, "and you still love her." Maya said, "Love does not disappear. It stays in your heart, but it does not mean you cannot live again." Ethan looked at them. He felt a strange feeling in his heart. He felt like he was finally allowed to feel his pain. He felt like he was finally allowed to heal. The women continued to support him. They told him stories of their own losses. They shared how they had also faced pain in their lives. They shared how they had learned to move forward. Maya spoke about her brother who had left the village many years ago. She spoke about the sadness she felt, but also about the hope she found. Leela spoke about her mother who had passed away. She spoke about how she still remembered her mother's voice. Sienna spoke about her father who had been sick. She spoke about how she had learned to be strong. Ethan listened to them, and he realized something. He realized that he was not the only one who had suffered. He realized that everyone had pain. He realized that pain was a part of life, but it did not define a person. That night, Ethan had a dream. In his dream, he saw Sarah smiling at him. She looked happy and peaceful. She told him to live, to be happy, and to find love again. Ethan woke up with tears in his eyes. He felt a sense of relief. He felt that Sarah was telling him it was okay to move on. He looked at the women, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He knew that they were helping him not only with his body but also with his heart. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. He went outside and stood near the river. The water was moving slowly. The ice was melting. The sun was shining. He felt the warmth of the sun on his face. He felt the cool breeze on his skin. He felt alive. He thought about the women. He thought about their kindness. He thought about their courage. He thought about the way they had come to his home in the storm. He realized that they had not only saved his life, they had saved his heart. Ethan returned to the house and found the women sitting together preparing food. They smiled at him when they saw him. Maya said, "Good morning, Ethan. How do you feel today?" Ethan smiled. "I feel better," he said. "I feel like I can breathe again." Leela nodded. "That is good," Sienna said. "We are happy to see you smile." Ethan looked at them and said, "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." The women smiled, but they did not say much. They did not need to. Their actions were enough. As the days passed, Ethan continued to grow stronger. He began to participate more in the village life. He began to talk to people. He began to smile more. The village began to notice the change. They began to see Ethan as a different person. They began to see him as someone who was no longer lonely, but not everyone was happy. Some people still whispered. They still questioned why the women had helped him. They still believed that Ethan was strange. They still believed that he did not belong. Ethan heard the whispers, but he did not let them affect him. He had the women by his side. He had their support. He had their love. He knew that he was not alone anymore. The women continued to care for him. They continued to teach him. They continued to support him. And Ethan continued to heal. The village was beginning to change. Ethan was no longer the quiet man who stayed alone. He was slowly becoming a part of the community again. He smiled more, spoke more, and even helped others. The women, Maya, Lila, and Sienna, were proud of him. They had seen his transformation and they felt a deep happiness inside. But change is not always easy. Even good change can cause fear and doubt. One morning, as Ethan walked through the village, he saw people looking at him differently. Some people smiled and greeted him. Others looked away. A few whispered quietly. Ethan felt the weight of their eyes. He felt like he was being judged. He wanted to ignore them, but he could not. He wanted to be accepted, but he was not sure if he would ever be fully accepted. He returned home and found the women sitting together. They were talking quietly, but when they saw him, they smiled. Maya asked, "How was your day?" Ethan sighed. "Some people smiled. Some people ignored me. Some people whispered." Leela placed a hand on his shoulder. "That is normal," she said. "People are afraid of change." Sienna added, "They do not know you yet. They only know what they have heard." Ethan nodded, but he still felt sad. He had hoped that once he was healed, people would welcome him. But he realized that healing his body was only the first step. Healing his place in the village was a different challenge. That evening, the village elders called a meeting. They wanted to discuss Ethan's situation. The meeting was held in the village center where everyone could gather. The elders sat in a circle and the villagers stood around them. Maya, Lila, and Sienna attended the meeting too. They sat together, ready to support Ethan. They knew that this meeting could change everything. The elder Kiona spoke first. "We all know Ethan," she said. "He has been quiet for many years. He has lived alone. He has not joined our celebrations. Some of us believe he does not want help." Terk, another elder, replied, "But we also know he is a good person. He helped others in the past. He has always been kind." Kiona looked at the women and said, "Why did you help him? Why did you bring him into your home? Why did you break the tradition?" Maya stood up slowly. She looked at the elders and spoke clearly. "We did not break tradition," she said. "We followed our hearts. We followed the true meaning of our traditions. We helped a person in need." Leela added, "Ethan was sick. He needed help. We could not leave him alone." Sienna said, "We did not do this for ourselves. We did this for him." The elders listened quietly. Some of them looked angry, some looked thoughtful. They did not know what to say. One elder spoke, "But what if he is not safe? What if he brings trouble?" Maya replied, "Ethan has always been kind. He has always been gentle. He is not a threat." Leela added, "He is a part of our village." Sienna said, "He is our friend." The elders were silent for a moment. They looked at each other. They knew the women were right, but they also knew that the village had always followed certain rules. They were afraid of breaking those rules. Finally, Kiona spoke again. "We must think carefully," she said. "We must decide what is best for the village." The meeting ended, but the villagers were not satisfied. They still whispered. They still questioned. Ethan felt his heart sink. He felt like he was being judged again. He felt like he was not welcome. He felt like he was still alone. The women saw his sadness and felt their own pain. They knew that this was not just about Ethan. It was about the future of their village. It was about whether people would be allowed to change and grow. That night, Maya said to the other women, "We must do something. We cannot let the village decide his life." Leela nodded. "Yes, we must show them that he is good. We must show them that he belongs." Sienna said, "We must help him become part of the village again. We must give him a chance." The next day, the women decided to involve Ethan in village activities. They asked him to help with small tasks. They asked him to join them in cooking, weaving, and gathering supplies. They wanted the villagers to see Ethan's true nature. At first, Ethan was hesitant. He was still afraid. He did not want to be judged. He did not want to be rejected. He did not want to make a mistake. But the women encouraged him. They reminded him that he was strong. They reminded him that he had already survived the storm. They reminded him that he had already found hope. So Ethan agreed. He started helping the women in the village. He carried firewood for the elders. He helped repair fences. He helped gather food. He even helped teach children about the river and the land. The villagers began to notice. They began to see Ethan's kindness. They began to see his gentle nature. They began to see that he was not a threat. They began to see that he was a good man. Some villagers began to smile at him. Some began to greet him warmly. Some began to ask for his help. Ethan felt his heart warm. He felt that he was slowly being accepted. But not everyone was happy. Some villagers still whispered. Some still believed that he did not belong. Some still believed that he was strange. One day, a young man named Kellen approached Ethan. Kellen was known for being proud and loud. He had never liked Ethan. He believed that Ethan was weak. Kellen said, "Why are you helping him? He is not one of us." Maya stepped forward and replied, "He is one of us. He is a part of this village." Leela added, "He is a good person." Sienna said, "He is our friend." Kellen looked at them angrily. "You cannot change our traditions," he said. "You cannot decide who belongs." Ethan felt his heart beat fast. He felt fear and anger. He wanted to respond, but he did not know what to say. Maya looked at Kellen calmly. "Traditions are important," she said, "but so is kindness, so is love, so is caring for each other." Kellen stared at her. He did not answer. The women and Ethan walked away. They knew that the struggle was not over. They knew that some people would still judge. They knew that they had to stay strong. That night, Ethan sat by the fire and thought about everything. He thought about the storm. He thought about the women who saved him. He thought about the village meeting. He thought about Kellen's words. He realized that healing was not only about his body. It was also about his heart. It was about his place in the village. It was about being accepted. He looked at the women and said, "I do not want to be a problem." Maya smiled gently. "You are not a problem," she said. "You are a blessing." Leela added, "You are a gift." Sienna said, "And you are loved." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He felt a deep sense of gratitude. He felt that he was not alone anymore. But he also felt a fear. He feared that his past would return. He feared that his grief would take him back to loneliness. He feared that he would lose the new life he had found. He knew that he had to face his past. He knew that he had to accept his grief. He knew that he had to let go of the pain. The women sensed his fear. They held his hands and told him, "We will be with you. We will not leave you." Ethan looked at them and felt a deep sense of trust. He knew that they were telling the truth. He knew that they would stand by him. The next morning, Ethan decided to do something brave. He decided to visit Sarah's grave. He had avoided it for years. He had been too afraid to face the place where he said goodbye to her. But now he felt that he was ready. He felt that he could face his past. He told the women about his plan. They agreed to go with him. The journey to the grave was quiet. The snow was still falling lightly. The path was covered in snow, but the women walked slowly and carefully. When they reached the grave, Ethan stood quietly. He looked at the small stone marker. He remembered the day he had placed it there. He remembered the tears. He remembered the pain. He knelt down and touched the stone. He whispered, "I miss you, Sarah. I am sorry I left you alone. I am sorry I did not come sooner." The women stood beside him quietly. They did not speak. They simply gave him their presence. Ethan felt a wave of emotion. He cried softly. He felt the pain of loss, but he also felt something else. He felt peace. He felt that Sarah would want him to live. He felt that she would want him to be happy. He felt that she would want him to find love again. Ethan stood up slowly. He looked at the women and said, thank you for being with me." Maya smiled softly. "We are family." Leela added, "We are here for you," Sienna said, "and we will always be." Ethan nodded. He felt a sense of strength. He felt that he was ready to face whatever came next, but he did not know that his past was not finished yet. He did not know that a new challenge was waiting. He did not know that the next part of his life would test his heart in ways he had never imagined. After the visit to Sarah's grave, Ethan felt a change inside him. It was not a sudden change, but a gentle one. It was like the first rays of the sun after a long winter. He felt lighter. He felt that the pain was still there, but it was not controlling him anymore. He returned to the village with the three women, Maya, Lila, and Sienna. The village looked the same, but Ethan felt different. He felt like he was ready to live again. He felt like he was ready to be a part of the world. The women continued to support him. They helped him with his daily tasks. They encouraged him to speak to others. They encouraged him to join village gatherings. They encouraged him to share his thoughts. Ethan listened to them. He trusted them. He believed in them. One day, the village announced a celebration. It was a day of thanks where everyone gathered to share food, stories, and songs. It was a special day for the village. It was a day when people came together and celebrated life. Ethan felt nervous. He had never attended a celebration like this before. He had always avoided gatherings. He had always stayed alone. He had always felt that he did not belong, but the women encouraged him. They told him that this was his chance to show the village that he was part of them. They told him that he deserved to be happy. Ethan agreed to go. He wore his best clothes. He washed his face. He combed his hair. He felt nervous, but he felt brave. As he walked to the celebration, he saw the villagers gathered in the center. They were talking, laughing, and sharing food. The air was filled with the smell of cooked food and the sound of music. When the villagers saw Ethan, some of them stopped talking. They looked at him. Some smiled, some looked unsure. Ethan felt his heart beat fast. He felt his hands shake. He wanted to turn back, but he saw the women beside him. They smiled at him, encouraging him to keep going. Maya spoke softly, "You can do this." Leela added, "We are with you." Sienna said, "Just be yourself." Ethan took a deep breath and stepped into the crowd. He walked slowly, but he walked with confidence. He greeted people with a gentle smile. Some villagers greeted him back. Some nodded. Some smiled. Ethan felt his heart warm. He felt that he was being accepted. Then the village elder Kiona approached him. She looked at him carefully. She looked at the women. She looked at the crowd. Ethan felt nervous. He wondered what she would say. Kiona spoke, "Ethan, we have watched you. We have watched how you have changed. We have watched how you have helped others. We have watched how the women have cared for you." Ethan bowed his head. He felt embarrassed. Kiona continued, "We were wrong to judge you. We were wrong to doubt you. You are a good man. You are part of this village." The crowd fell silent. Ethan could not believe what he was hearing. Kiona looked at the women and said, "These women showed courage and kindness. They did what was right. They saved a life. They brought someone back to us." The crowd began to clap. The sound of clapping filled the air. Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He looked at the women. They smiled at him. They looked proud. They looked happy. Ethan felt a deep sense of gratitude. He felt that his life had changed forever. But the celebration was not just about acceptance. It was also about hope. During the celebration, Ethan was asked to speak. He felt nervous, but he agreed. He stood in front of the crowd and spoke with a steady voice. He said, "I want to thank you all for giving me a second chance. I have been alone for many years. I thought I was not important. I thought my life was over, but you showed me that I matter." He looked at the women and continued, "These women saved my life. They gave me hope. They gave me love, they gave me a family. The crowd listened quietly. Some people wiped their eyes, some people smiled. Ethan continued, I know I made mistakes. I know I did not ask for help. But now I understand that asking for help is not weakness. It is strength. It is a sign that we care for each other. The crowd nodded. The air was filled with emotion. Ethan then spoke about Sarah. He spoke about his love for her. He spoke about his pain. He spoke about how he finally found peace. He spoke about how he learned to live again. The villagers listened quietly. They respected his words. They respected his honesty. When Ethan finished, the crowd clapped again. The sound was louder this time. Ethan felt his heart swell with happiness. After the celebration, Ethan returned home with the women. He felt exhausted but happy. He sat by the fire and looked at the women. He said, I never thought I could feel this happy again. Maya smiled, you deserve it. Leela added, you earned it. Sienna said, you found your way back. Ethan looked at them and said, I want to do something for you, I want to help you, I want to be useful. Maya shook her head, you already are useful, you are alive, that is enough. Leela said, your presence is the greatest gift. Sienna added, you are our family now. Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He realized that he had finally found a place where he belonged. He realized that he had found people who cared for him. He realized that he had found a new family. The next days were peaceful. Ethan continued to help the village. He continued to spend time with the women. He continued to grow stronger. He continued to live. The village began to change too. People began to help each other more. People began to be kinder. People began to understand that it was okay to reach out for help. The three women became known as heroes, not because they did something grand or powerful, but because they did something simple and human. They helped a man in need. They taught the village an important lesson, that love and kindness can heal even the deepest pain. One evening, the women sat together by the fire. They looked at Ethan, who was sleeping peacefully. They smiled. Maya said, he lives because of us. Leela nodded, and now he is ours. Sienna added, he is family. They looked at each other and felt a deep sense of peace. They had done something important. They had saved a life. They had changed a village. And they knew that this was only the beginning, because when love is real, it never ends.